Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another episode of what is the Arsenal preview show. Not done one of these in a while, not since, of course, the last game of last season against Wolves. But the season is back and Arsenal are going to be kicking it off in the Community Shield, which is what some would consider the first game of the season. I know for some that they prefer it to be the first Premier League game, but according to the fixture list, it is supposed to be the official start of the 23-24 season. And Arsenal are taking on Manchester City, who were, of course, the side that beat them to the title last year in 22-23. A lot has changed. Personnel have changed. Both clubs, it's fair to say. But there is still a lot of things that have remained the same, like both managers, for instance, and the expectations around both clubs. Man City expected to go on and win the Premier League once again, with Arsenal expected to be their title challengers and see if they can get any closer, maybe close enough to even overtake them compared to what, of course, happened last season. Thank you to everybody that's joining us. You'll be able to find these preview shows 1 or 2 days before the fixtures go out. I'll be aiming to do these throughout the course of the season for every single game. What we like to do for these preview shows, if you're new to the channel over the summer, is welcome on our members from the Discord server to have their thoughts heard and their feelings heard about what they think is going to happen in these games. So without further ado, let's welcome today's guest. First of all, joining us is Dom. How you doing, Dom? You good, you well, my friend?
Yeah, I'm very good. Very well. Thanks, Tom. How are you? Doing good?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad. And again, I think there's been memos being sent around behind my back about attire for these previews, because joining us in very similar attire is Lewis. How you doing, Lewis?
I'm good. As I said to you off air, the only time I ever seem to make an appearance on this channel is wearing the 89 shirt. So thought I would mix it up a little bit. But yeah, we didn't mean to circumvent you out of the process, I'm afraid, mate.
You both hopped on and I was like, damn, I should have won it. Or maybe it would have looked even worse if I had. So it's a win-win scenario, I think, either way. Dom, do you consider the Community Shield to be the first official game of the season, or is it a Premier League game for you?
So for me, if we're playing in it, it's the first game of the season, and especially because this one has quite a lot of everyone knows what happened last season, so it's a big game. Even if it was a full preseason friendly, we'd still look at it as a very big game, as we did Barcelona. So yeah, for me, it is it's the curtain raiser, let's say, for the season, and more so because it's us and against the champion. So it's a big game. For me, it's a start. It's a kickoff.
Lewis, do you agree?
If it was, say, that we won the league and say Man United had won the FA Cup, and that was the fixture, I'd be placing less importance than I'm looking forward to on Sunday, if that makes sense. Because
really?
Yeah, I think there's a lot riding into this, which you'll see in my sort of team selections, that I think knowing Arteta and knowing the sort of he's not been able to, other than that semi-final win back in 2020, I don't even think he's taken a draw off City, so he will absolutely be determined to get something out of the game, even if it is curtain raiser, last game of pre-season, however you want to call it. There's something to be learned from this game in a meaningful way, even if there's no Premier League points on the line.
Yeah, I mean, last year, Dom, we saw Liverpool beat Man City in the Community Shield 3-1. Darwin Nunez getting on the score sheet, Julian Alvarez scoring for City. No goal for Erling Haaland, but obviously the season that came from that game was Man City dominating, Erling Haaland scoring mad goals, Darwin Nunez getting sent off, I think, early on in the season for a headbutt, if I remember rightly, and Liverpool finishing outside the top 4 places and not challenging at all. So how much emphasis do we put on this game as an indicator for the start of the season?
Yeah, it's a good question because, I think winning it doesn't mean a lot for the season. It's a difficult one. I think I would still look at it as, we want to win the game. We want to play well. But if we lose it, it wouldn't be the end of the world. And if we win it, it doesn't mean that we're going to go on and win the league. So, it's a fair question, but I think we just have to see how it goes, see how we play, and take out of it whatever we can. I think that's the only thing we can do.
What do you take from these, Lewis, like the Community Shield game? Because Do you feel as though, I don't know, I don't want to go into lineups too much because obviously we're going to talk about them from our side of things and we talk about our desired lineups. But if you were trying to put yourself into Arteta's mind, do you feel that he's going to approach this with as if we were playing Man City in a Premier League game, or do you think it'll be a little bit more reserved?
I think he's going to go 80% as hard as he can. I think there are elements of still maybe giving some minutes in the legs of people that maybe haven't got as much preseason as they'd have liked. But I think he will treat it as an opportunity to try and get the monkey off the back with it being Pep's City, which is a struggle that we've overcome, especially since we've been playing better and being more like a competitor. So right in 2020 when no one gave us a chance and it was a totally changed squad. But the new Arsenal, the Arteta ball, has yet to beat Pep ball. So yeah, let's see what happens.
Yeah, indeed. I think it's a good point talking about the record that Arteta's got, against Pep because it's not good. But at Wembley, 100% record. No, is it 100% record? Yes, it is. I was thinking when we lost to Man City, didn't we, in the League Cup final? But Arteta certainly wasn't in charge back then. Aguero getting in behind Squadron Mustafi for that goal. But no, that was certainly some time ago. It's one of those where you're like, hold on, Arteta's been here for ages. So now I have to think back about when he actually took over. But yeah, no, at Wembley, 100% records against Pep Guardiola. Outside of Wembley, I think it might be 0%. So it's certainly a game which has some narrative to it from the managerial side of things. Dom, what have you made of City so far in terms of their summer business? Because obviously they've signed Mateo Kovacic, but they've lost some key players like Riyad Mahrez, the Ilkay Gundogan has gone. There's suggestions that Kyle Walker and Bernardo Silva still could move on this summer. They could be bringing in who could become the most expensive centre-back in the world in Josko Gvardiol as well. But what do you make of the business that's happened so far?
Yeah, I think as you said, you just mentioned it there. They've weakened. They're not as good a squad as they were last year. I mean, Kovacic is a great player, good player. I'm going to retract my my great status for Kovacic. He's a very good player, let's say. So he brings something to the team, but he, what's gone out and what still could potentially go out. I think they're weaker, but I don't want to even for a moment think that that's going to mean anything for the season or even for the game this weekend, because it's still Man City, it's still Pep, still a good squad, but it is weaker than it was last year. Second season for Haaland, he arguably could somehow get better than he was last season. So yeah, I think it's interesting actually that the amount of time it's taken for the Guardiola thing to happen, and how much stick we got for the amount of time it took to get Rice done. So yeah, I think let's see how they look on Sunday. It'll be a really good indication, I think, of whether or not they have been weakened. But yeah, as we stand today, we're still playing City, we're still playing Pep's City, still playing Haaland, Kevin De Bruyne potentially as well, although he's 32 soon. Which we forget is the same age as Jorginho. So I'm weaker, but still very good.
Yeah, I agree. I do think they've weakened their squads so far and could weaken it further. There is the argument, of course, that players like Haaland, Alvarez, Grealish, Foden, a year older, technically, they've grown and become stronger as well. But it will be interesting. The expectation, Lewis, around City, you win the treble, Premier League, Champions League, FA Cup, all secured. As a club like City, do you feel as though that now that treble is there, that same ambition, that same desire to try and go and get something like that again, maybe isn't there in the same way? Because it was like something that hadn't been achieved for them before. They hadn't got the Champions League before. Manchester United, of course, were the only other treble holders. There was something about getting that done over their City rivals. Do you see that in which there might be like a mental, not block because it's Man City and they're ruthless, but do you know what I'm saying regarding kind of, do you feel as though there'll be a little bit of a lack of, not direction, but kind of clarity over what is the next step for City?
Without wanting to sound overly controversial, but I will. I think you can't actually disassociate the pending 115 charges with the success of the treble. I think there was an ambition for that project, much like the PSG one, to go and conquer the Champions League, and City done it first. the Abu Dhabi group beat the Qataris in that sort of arms race, for want of a better word. Yeah, exactly. I think now that you're seeing a lot of those players that you identify with City's success in terms of longevity, like Kyle Walker, like Bernardo Silva, to a lesser extent Riyad Mahrez, but Riyad Mahrez has got like a hell of a CV with his time at City is there. It's as if it's like job done. And I wonder what that's going to be like for, say, Grealish. Is he going to be up for it to be a leader in that way? Because even though he improved last season, he seemed to be quite casual during his first season, and he was out celebrating a lot. And look, I like Grealish. I think he's really fun. But I do wonder, is there a bit of that kind of character slipping away? I remember when Vincent Kompany first left, there was a City identity shaped hole, and I think that the impending charges, along with the treble, maybe people think that's time for a clean break, and it's just whoever's not decided that it's a clean break. Do they still feel like there's more to be achieved there? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think with those charges still hanging over them and without any kind of resolution yet, and there's suggestions that it could take years for those to really, for us to see kind of a conclusion to that saga. There's always that asterisk, isn't there, surrounding City and what they achieve. But I am intrigued this season to see kind of where they go, what the next step is if falling out of a competition. Like, as soon as they're at the FA Cup, they've already underachieved compared to last season. Like, it's an interesting kind of dynamic to be in, is that progression for City is a quad. That's the next step, is winning every single trophy on offer. And as soon as they're out of one competition, be it the FA Cup, the League Cup, or the Champions League, what they achieved this season isn't going to be as good as it was last season. And that's a really intriguing kind of dynamic to, I suppose, try and navigate. Getting back to Arsenal then, Dom, Arsenal, of course, go into this fixture with a big problem up front. Gabriel Jesus injured, required a minor procedure, we understand, and he'll be out for a few weeks, which is designed to obviously kind of curtail any of the issues that have persisted from that previous issue with his knee. When it comes to that position, are you confident in the options that we have in the squad with Nketiah, Trossard, Havertz to a lesser extent as well, to cover Jesus, or would you like Arsenal to go into the market?
I think we all just have to look at last year, right? So Eddie came in and did a good job for us, got injured, brought in Trossard, came in and did a good job for us. Jesus came back, wasn't quite the same, in short, I'd say no. So, we're not in a different position from where we were last year. All right, Havertz is in, but we're already looking at Havertz as a with a different job, a different role than he had last season. So, no, I think we need to get into the market. There's not much out there. I agree with you, Tom, that Kudus is probably a good way to go if we can get that done. I think now, look, even if we only lose Jesus for a couple of weeks, 3-4 weeks, still not going to start the season in optimal performance. So I still think we need to strengthen there. Although, like you, I also think that Trossard's been probably our best player in pre-season. The games I've watched him in, I think it's amazing. Actually, he's come back looking like a high percentage of better player, and looks really good on the ball. And I'm really happy with Trossard. But I don't think that's enough to start a season where we want to progress. And I feel like we've added a better defender, and we've improved our defense. Even if we don't get rid of Holding and Cedric and bring someone else in, I still think our defense is better this year than it was last year, because Timber upgrades us in 3 positions if you count left back, and midfield we've strengthened obviously. And I look at Havertz as more of a midfield strength than a forward strength, I would say, and Rice in midfield as well. So yeah, I think we still need a striker. I think we need somebody who can play up front and on the wings, versatile, which is basically what we're going for. So yeah, in short, no, I don't think we are in a good enough position. I think we need to do a bit more.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I agree. I think we need to bring someone in the forward area. It seems, Lewis, the man that Arteta is bringing in right now is Nketiah. The man he's not bringing in is following Balogun. What do you make of that dynamic and Arteta's decision making with those two players?
You've got to show commitment to the cause, and I don't think Flo has done, which is a shame
Mm.
because I think he is a better stylistic fit for us in terms of the way his link up is. His touch seems to be really good. He doesn't mind taking on a man, but he wants to be a star. He had a similar record, not as good, for England under 21s, and he opted to play for the United States, which is perfectly his choice. Eddie is sticking with England, even though he could qualify for Ghana, and Eddie is sticking with Arsenal because he's an Arsenal boy. So I think if you, as what was it, Adam said, if you fight for the badge on the front, they'll remember the name on the back. And I think Eddie's more inclined to do that. I was really impressed with him, actually, the first half against Monaco. He's not as good as Jesus at that link up, but he was pressing. He was dropping well into the number 9 position. And I remember there was a little through ball we put him through to Martinelli, almost as if like everyone had said, they haven't contributed to a goal since he came into the team. It was almost like a thing in his mind that he wanted to make sure that he could link up with him, that he could do the things to bring the best out of one of our better performers last year, not just on himself. So would I like to see Flo stay and take this opportunity? Yeah, but if he's not committed to the cause, then you have to prune. And it's a shame because he's an incredibly talented lad. Really is.
Yeah. Yeah, incredibly talented player. And it's a shame, I think, regarding Balogun, how it's kind of looking like it's going to work out, because I think, maybe if Nketiah wasn't here, there was that pathway that was immediately apparent he would get a chance. But it seems that he's not, shown. There's perhaps an irony as well about Gabriel Jesus getting injured, days after Balogun has allegedly asked Arsenal to reduce their valuation, and obviously made those comments in pre-season where he said like he didn't feel like he had to try extra hard, that he didn't have to prove anything, that sort of thing. If he'd have come back to pre-season and really gunned for it and been like, I'm here to try and show Arteta why I deserve minutes, I'm giving it all my all in training, etc., and then Jesus gets injured, maybe we would see Balogun playing right now. Maybe if the way in which he'd approached pre-season would have seen something different. Dom, I don't want to shut you out of this conversation on Balogun. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, very similar. If I could only keep one of Eddie or Balogun based on what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing, it would be Eddie as well. Yeah, I think it's a shame because just to kind of highlight something for me, Mikel Arteta seems to be a pretty good judge of character. The people that are the players that have been kind of maybe quite good technically and haven't had the right attitude, that don't stick around too long, and they don't get opportunities. People that carry themselves well around the place, say the right things to the media. Those people like Eddie seem to get a chance. So yeah, I don't want to say it, but I trust Arteta's process around that. And yeah, I think the evidence is there that Balogun wasn't used when he could have been fully fit and ready to go. He wasn't used. So yeah, I think he's probably on his way. And yeah, it's a shame because he's talented, but I'd rather go with someone who clearly wants to be here, wants to play for us, and isn't necessarily happy being an understudy, but will do a job if he's called upon. And yeah, proud to be an Arsenal player.
Yeah, it's interesting. If you'd have asked me at the start of the window, which of the two do you keep? I would have gone with Balogun. If you're asking me now, after everything we've learned, who is the most inclined to stay and be part of this Arteta project, it's Nketiah at the moment, based upon what we've seen and heard, and that, bearing in mind that we only see what's on the surface, so we can only really make judgments on that, of course, as well. Maybe with more information and clarity, we'd have different views, but we have to go on what we've seen so far. Let's talk about what we would do in terms of our teams then for tomorrow. We start, I think, with you, Dom. Talk us through your 11, mate, and your reasons as to why.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be a tough one to explain, I think. All right, so Ramsdale in goal, right back Timber, centre backs Gabriel and Saliba, Tierney left back, Partey, Rice, maybe double pivot, maybe left 8 for Rice, and Odegaard's kind of right 8/10, and then front three interchangeable, but Trossard, Nketiah, and Havertz. I'm kind of thinking more towards Havertz as a second 10/false 9 at times, and Nketiah, because I think Nketiah has done really quite well at the points when he's well, not quite well. He's done okay when he's been kind of used on the wings, and when when he's been playing with Jesus. But my thinking here was to one, Saka. I'm not sure what's going on with Saka. I haven't really caught up with it, but I think let's have him and Martinelli coming in as impact. And my other thinking was that we start all three of our newbies in this game, find a way to get Havertz, Rice, and Timber in there for this game. Despite what I said about it being a curtain raiser and really the first game of the season, it's still a chance for us to kind of try a few things and see how the newbies cope. Let's see how the new guys cope and put them on which is a big game on a big stage on a big pitch, and is it our first time at Wembley with a crowd for years, because we won the FA Cup. We won the FA Cup with no crowd, didn't we? So
the last time we were there,
and Community Shield, no crowd as well.
Against Liverpool, I think that was the last time we were at Wembley, was it not? Or have we been there? Obviously the FA Cup that we won as well, but the Community Shield after that was all with no fans. So yeah, I think it's the first time.
Yeah, so that's my thinking as well. It's a big game for us, big occasion. All the new guys. I feel like Havertz, his kind of introduction to the team wasn't at the same scale of Timber and Rice. I don't think that's fair necessarily. Yeah. He was on holiday at the time. I think there's reasons for it, right? But I haven't seen yet Havertz been shown around the training ground. I haven't seen the same level of interviews that Timber and Rice got. So, and I think it's a bit not necessarily unfair, but he didn't start last week as well. His first potential game at the Emirates as well. He didn't start him. So let's start him here, find a way to get him into this team. Let's bring Saka and Martinelli in as impact players on 60 minutes.
Yeah, agreed. I think it's interesting throwing in this team. I have absolute understanding for people that want to kind of experiment in this fixture, because not everyone sees the Community Shield as a really, really important fixture, and that's completely fair, because it is. If you win it, it's trophy. If you lose it, don't matter. That's the way that the Community Shield goes for most people. Let's go to Lewis, your team. Talk us through your selection, mate.
So I think this is the team that Arteta's going to start, and it's the team I want to see start. So White and Saka had that great relationship last year. They've not had a chance to get loads of run-outs together this preseason because they've got to get everyone fit. Saliba and Gabriel, for my money, best defensive partnership in the Premier League. So that's 3 of our best, or 4 of our best back 5, if you're including Ramsdale and the goalkeeper. Of the people that he's been trying out pre-season, Timber has looked the most comfortable at left back, and I think our team looks more comfortable if you allow the left full back to become the inverted double pivot person. I think it's a little bit, them bicycles that work in an opposite direction where you leap, and it feels a little bit like that at the moment. It's not to say that Timber can't go on the right hand side, but this is a game against City. It's not the Community Shield. It's a game against City. He's going to want to try it with the best he can. I'd love to see what Rice and Partey can do as a duo, not necessarily in a double pivot, but just that you've got 2 defensive-minded players in the middle of the park who can also get forward. Odegaard, our captain, you've got to start. Martinelli and Saka, just so good at holding width and coming in. Their decision-making in Arteta's system's excellent. So, and they play such a critical role with how we get up the pitch. So that's why I'm keeping with them, despite Trossard being excellent in pre-season. I'd have liked to have left him in, but I think he comes a little bit too narrow, wants to get into them half spaces a little bit too much. Martinelli more than happy to sort of spend his time out on the extremities of the pitch and then come inside at the last second to be effective.
I've gone slightly different. The only change I've got from that is Trossard up top instead. I think I agree with you, Lewis. I think Nketiah will start this game. I just think that Trossard has been the best player in pre-season for me, and I think that if if one guy, based upon pre-season performances, deserves to be in the team right now, it's Trossard. And so he's either in for Martinelli or he's in for the striker. If Jesus was fit, I would have started Jesus and put Trossard left. With Jesus out, I bring Martinelli and put Trossard there. It's not to criticise Nketiah. It's not to say, just because you like waffles don't mean you don't like pancakes. That analogy coming back again. But it's. I think that Nketiah will start, and I think that he's got a great opportunity then to show people like myself why thinking somebody else should start is wrong, and I hope that he proves me wrong. I spoke to him yesterday after the game, and a lot of the questions that were angled at him were along the lines of kind of filling in for Jesus, stepping into that role for Jesus. And as I was standing there, and obviously I asked different questions, but as I was standing there listening to those questions, in my mind, I'm thinking he must be so sick of like the idea of being asked about having to step in for somebody. And that's not the journalist's fault for asking those questions, because it's a fair question. But from his perspective, it must be so frustrating and so sick of being asked that type of question, because he just wants to be him. He doesn't want to have to be linked with Jesus. He don't have to be linked with whoever came before. He's got to change the conversation himself. It's not us. It's not the fans. It's not the journalists that are writing about him. He himself has to change the conversation. And the way he does that is by coming into the team and playing consistently and scoring in every other game minimum. Getting a 1-in-2 goal record as an Arsenal striker is the minimum expectation, really. If not, you're needing to do a lot more, like Jesus achieved last season with contributions outside of just goals. But a striker like Nketiah isn't that way inclined. And so if you are a more traditional number 9, a 1-in-2 goal record is probably what you're going to need to stay in the team. Trossard, though, I think has been great. I think that he's really, really works with Martinelli. Those two formed a really good partnership when they played together last season. And in terms of the back four, I like you, Dom, could have gone with Tierney and Timber. I think it's a partnership that I would like to see tried out some more. But the White-Saka relationship, as Lewis brings up, is something I think that's been so strong off the back of last season. And with Zinchenko unavailable, I think Timber is the next best option to give you that inverted style on the left. So it gives you the most balance. And going up against City, I'd like to see Partey and Rice play, because when we go against these sides and we go up to Anfield or we're going up to St James's Park and places like this where we want more control, I think these are the two midfielders we need to use together. When we play against Forest at home, or, teams in the bottom half of the table at home, or even in away games, I think then you can be a bit more, throw caution to the wind and move Havertz and Ødegaard into the side with one of Rice or Partey. But I think against a side like City, I'd like to see us be a little bit more savvy and street smart with the team selection. So there you go. But let us know in the comment section below what team you would go with and any disagreements we've got. I've seen plenty of people saying, what on earth is Dom thinking with that line? Everyone's entitled to their opinion, and of course I'd love to see what you guys think about that. It's all about opinions. Joe joining us in the chat for his 33-month anniversary of being a member, which is fantastic. Joe says, this is definitely a proper competitive game, lads. Any chance to land a blow on the reigning champions has to be taken seriously. I'm going for a 2-1, and with that I would like to open the floor to predictions to everybody in the chat box. Dom, we'll start with you. Scoreline and scorers, please.
I'm going to go a thrilling 5-goal game, 3-2 Arsenal, and all three of the new starters, or the new joiners, getting a goal. Yeah, Havertz, Timber. And just to be clear, just to go back, because you highlighted people talking about my team, I agree with you guys of what is more likely that they would do. And I'm kind of more thinking thinking crazy about what we should do and what I would maybe do. But what I think Arteta's going to do is probably either one of your teams. So just to be clear on that.
Agreed. No, that's fine. The whole point of our lineups is always what we'd like to see rather than what we think the manager's going to do. So it was spot on. Lewis.
I'm going to get shot. I don't think we're going to win. I think it will be 1-1.
That is okay to say. Like, it is Man City.
I'm going to be optimistic, and I think I'm going to go 1-1. I don't think we've been super sharp pre-season, but I think there's scope that he puts a really strong team out and we do well. I think if we're not on the back of a heavy defeat, I think we'll take that. It'd be nice to win, 2 penalty shootouts in a week. That'd be good. That'd be fun. At least I'd take that if that were coming to me. But no, I'm thinking 1-1.
Okay. No, that's completely fair enough. I'm ever the optimist, and so I'm going to go with a 1-0 win with a Ben White screamer to kick off a brand new season, of course, the only way forwards. But let's see what you guys are saying in the chat box. Nitish going for a City 2-0 win. Sad face. Penny Win says 4-4, and we win on penalties. Bradley's going for a 2-1 Arsenal. Saka, Rice get on the score sheet. USA Gooner says 2-1 Arsenal. Trossard and Saka. Steven says 3-2. Trossard's going to be on fire. Granddaddy Gooner Paul says 3-2 Arsenal with Trossard, Havertz and Smith Rowe. Morgan's going for a might scrape a 1-1. Having the cautious optimism there from Morgie. And Mikey says 2-1 Arsenal with a comfortable win. I don't know what a comfortable 2-1 win looks like. Maybe it's the 2-1 against Brentford when we were 2-0 up until the last minute and they scored and then the game ended. I suppose that's as close as you'll get to a comfortable 2-1 win. Johnny says 2-2, but Arsenal to lose on pens, to say, but thinks it's the reality. Nevin says 2-1 Arsenal with a Leo Trossard and Saka. Oh, have I muted myself? Have I gone mute for some reason? Am I back?
You went quiet.
Yeah, you're back now. I was just about to send you a message to say, like,
how long was I gone for? I was like running through all of the things.
About
I'm assuming not too long. Okay, 5 seconds. That's fine. That's fine. I'm sure they all came up on the screen anyway. It's StreamYard mugging me off. Patrick, anyway, that was my that was my assumption of what had happened. Steve's going for a 5-1 and Patrick going for a 1-0. MM going for a 1-0 as well. Okay. That rounds off today's show. Please do drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new. If you are in the London area tomorrow, as I have mentioned on a few of the shows, Mike from the Gooners Pod is doing a Gooners versus Cancer event at the Tollington in the evening. I'm going to be going along. I think Bailey's going to be going along. I think some other familiar faces that you're aware of, like Potsy and judges and things like that, I think are going to be there. So I don't know that for sure, by the way. I'm just guessing. Maybe if I say that, it will force judges to turn up. So that's potentially what we'll do. Yes, there should be some familiar faces and a good fun and laugh and a few drinks as well. So if you're in the area tomorrow evening, come to the Tollington and support a fantastic cause. Dom, thank you so much for your time, mate. Really appreciate it. Tell people where they can find you.
Well, you can find me at Wembley on Sunday. Managed to snare a ticket, but I'll be actually going on my own. First game I've been on my own for a long time. But catch me at the game on Sunday. Apart from that, don't see the DJ on all the socials. Fairly quiet. Don't expect too much from me on the socials. But yeah, you can find me. Also find me on Twitch, but not been streaming much lately. Might get back into it at some point. But yeah, follow me anyway.
Have you heard Chasing Status's couple last new songs?
I haven't actually yet. So, but that's my homework. Yeah, that'll be my homework between now and the live show.
I always find frustrating. So not frustrating. It's a weird thing. I don't know if people find this when they're like into a genre of music that's more like not mainstream, but when like a non-mainstream genre like drum and bass, for instance, gets into the charts, and I find that really odd when it happens. And yeah, Chasing Status's song with Becca Hill is certainly very good. Too short, but very good.
I have heard that. It's pretty good. I like Becky Hill. Guilty pleasure, maybe. Yeah. I think she's got a great voice. So, but I didn't say that. I just say that on a live podcast. Oh, yeah, there you go.
And Lewis, thank you so much, mate, for your time. Really appreciate you jumping on, and look forward to seeing you soon.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm at the Ilford Pele on Twitter or X or whatever it's called these days, and I'll definitely be at God knows. I won't be in London tomorrow, but I am coming to the Gooner Talk Live event. I've got my ticket for that. Beautiful. On the so yeah, guys, come on down. You know, it should be a good laugh. So it'll be really, really fun, because I saw you at the Arsblog AVP one, which was a really fun event. So hopefully we get some good numbers and see some people from the Discord.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to give that a shout out, because Lewis has done it for me. If you would like to come along to our live event to meet plenty of the people that you see regularly in the chat box and the Discord server, 13th of August at the Mildmay Club. Link to tickets in the description, or you can scan that QR code and it will take you there. Yeah, please do. And we are, as Stephen says, celebrating 50,000 subscribers. That's why we're doing the live event. I promised that we'd do some big meetup style thing if we hit 50K, and we did. So we're delivering that to everyone that wants to come along. So I look forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. And we've got some great guests, Harry Simu, FK from Latte Firm, Bailey and Mike also going to be there. Thank you, Lewis and Dom, for jumping on. Really appreciate your time. And I look forward to spending more with you over the course of the season on more preview shows. If you are intent people on joining our Discord server, you could also find yourself on these preview shows. We open it up to our members in the Discord server. So if you want to support the channel and get access to our Discord server and these shows, please do support the channel by just joining up as a member with one of the links in our link tree down in the description. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you again very soon. Have a fantastic rest of your day. And what I would say is tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., I'm in the office. So I'm going to try and pre-record something for tomorrow morning. But it won't be the usual live-esque, but there will be a show still dropping at 8, so look out for that. See you soon. Have a great day, and as always, up the Arsenal.